Well, joining me live now is Labor MP Julian Hill and Liberal MP Keith Wolahan. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on the program. Peter Dutton says it's clear Anthony Albanese breached the Gillard government's ministerial code of conduct while he was Transport Minister, requiring that ministers do not seek out or encourage gifts and should refer himself to the Integrity Commission. Keith, do you think that these allegations need further testing by the corruption watchdog, as the opposition leader is saying?
They absolutely need further testing, and if that includes the corruption watchdog and the Prime Minister feels he's got nothing to fear, well then he should self-refer. The National Anti-Corruption Commission is retrospective. It can look back as far as we want to go, and some of these go back over 25 years. So if the Prime Minister thinks he's done nothing wrong, well then let's refer. But there's something more important than that. At the last election, we had an integrity election. That was one of the top issues. It certainly was in my seat, it certainly was throughout Melbourne, and Julian would have seen that as well. And the Prime Minister held himself up as a person of high character and integrity, and there is now a cloud and a question over him. And that is because of the choices he has made. So he should make this one choice and have the National Anti-Corruption Commission look at it.
Julian, 7 Labor ministers and assistant ministers were given Qantas upgrades after the government decided to stop Qatar from expanding into Australia, which experts believe would have brought down the cost of airfares. Economy to first class, some on international flights. That's not a good look, is it?
Well, I mean, in relation to the Prime Minister, this stuff goes back exactly as Keith said, 20, 25 years. And gee, what an investigation. It's all been declared on the parliamentary register. Same as the propositions that you just put. I mean, what a great investigation. What a piece of investigative journalism to Google the parliamentary register and go, oh, look what's declared there. Correlation is not causation. It would make a really clear fundamental point. No one could accuse the government of being soft on Qantas with respect to industrial relations laws. They screamed from the rooftops when the government rightly passed laws forcing them to treat workers fairly, forcing them not to use sham outsourcing, forcing them to pay workers proper wages. And it looks like, and I'll be very careful with my words here, as a result of a recent court case, they may be facing a ginormous bill to compensate workers for illegal industrial relations practices. So, you know, I mean, see this for what it is. It's a chase, another chase for a cheap headline today, the proposition you put to Keith earlier. This stuff's been on the public record for, 20, 25 years. A little bit of hypocrisy too. It was Peter Dutton who claimed $6,000 from the taxpayer to fly to Gina Rinehart's birthday party. It was Peter Dutton who likes free flights on Gina Rinehart's billionaire private jet. It was Peter Dutton who claimed $23,000 from the taxpayer to fly to a News Corp event in Tamworth and give a speech about cost of living. I mean, it's a little bit hypocritical and a bit rich. Yeah,
just on that, Keith, the Prime Minister, in his attempt to deflect, said that Peter Dutton took private jet flights with billionaire Gina Rinehart, but he seemed to also forget that he took a private helicopter flight with billionaire Lindsay Fox.
Well, here we are on the eve of a federal election, and we still have this government pretending like they're in opposition, where they get asked legitimate questions and they engage in whataboutism, and we've just heard that then. This relationship with Qantas isn't just a normal relationship.
So
let's remember the referendum that we just had, and we had a commercial airline cover their planes in one position. Even though many of their staff, many of their customers have an entirely opposite position. That wasn't normal. The relationship between the CEO of Qantas and the Prime Minister was not normal. To pick up the phone and personally request an upgrade is not business as usual, and it should be investigated, and it doesn't pass the pub test, and Julian knows that.
Julian, your response?
Nothing to say. I mean, he completely avoided the point you just put to him. Nothing to say about Gina Rinehart and private jets. Nothing to say about free flights on billionaire private jets. I don't know, influencing the oppositions on mining policy, on IR policy. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Julian, it was a bit of a word salad in the press conference from the PM yesterday. He spoke about a private number at Qantas that he could call. What can the Prime Minister do today to assure the public that everything is above board, because the opposition will probably make this an issue in question time next week?
Well, I expect they will make it an issue in question time, because they don't want to talk about cost of living. They don't want to talk about inflation coming down. They don't want to talk about a tax cut for every taxpayer. They certainly don't want to talk about their dodgy, risky nuclear reactor fantasy and what the costings might be that they haven't released. Of course they'll make it an issue. As sure as night follows day. The PM's addressed this. He's addressed it clearly. No doubt if you ask him again, he'll address it again. And you're right, it'll come up in Parliament next week. But it's really telling what they don't want to talk about. They voted against every cost of living policy. When I go door knocking, when I'm out on the streets, Australians want to know what the government is doing about cost of living, which is the number one concern, and inflation is coming down. Of course they don't want to talk about that.
Okay, Julian Hill and Keith Wolahan, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.